Hello, everyone. I am Alexa Hamill. I am one of the associate directors for advising and programming. I'm also an alum of the college. I graduated in 2013. And in addition to doing advising, I also oversee Barnard Connect, our mentoring platform designed exclusively for Barnard students and alumni. And I also oversee our Mentors in Residence program. So before we get started, I'll hand it over to Caitlin to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Orsini. I'm the Employer Relations Program Assistant. I oversee all the logistics for employer events, on-campus recruitment, and the opportunities fair.
Amazing. Okay, good. So our goal today, given that the fall 2021 fair is also going to be virtual this semester, our goal today is to give you an overview of just what to expect as well as how you can prepare. So Caitlin is going to start us off by going over the schedule and some logistics.
So on Friday, September 24th, between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. will be the Opportunities in Graduate School Fair. Sign-up sessions are available on Handshake right now. From 12 to 1, we will have an alumni tech panel, Tech Careers for Social Good. And from 2 to 3, we will have a panel, Art Jobs in the Time of COVID. And there will be PCA and advising appointments prior to this event, and you can always schedule that through Handshake. So for the Opportunities Fair, you will have 2 ways to connect with employers and graduate schools. First is the group sessions. They are 30 minutes long with multiple students in attendance. These info sessions can be about a particular job, internship, or a company, or a school overview. The other way to connect is through one-on-one sessions. These are about 10 minutes long and consist of only you and one representative. Registration is now open and employers and graduate schools will continue to post their sessions until September 23rd. All right, next slide, please. So please double check your technology. There is nothing worse than having a tech glitch right before meeting with an employer. So ensure that you have the right setup to support sessions, audio and video. There is chat available in all sessions. All students will need a reliable internet connection, speakers and microphone, and a supported device. Students who wish to use their video will need a webcam. And as long as you're signed up for this session successfully, you'll be able to join up to 5 minutes prior to the session start. If you have any questions about the technology that you need, feel free to email us, or you could check the Opportunities Fair homepage. Next slide. So some key considerations for Handshake. Your profile visibility should be set to community. Handshake will prompt you to switch the visibility when you register for the fair. We encourage you to complete your profile ahead of the fair. So some qualifications representatives use are your major, school year, GPA, and work authorization. Include the most up-to-date resume. All times are shown, should be shown in your time zone, but please double check this against the Eastern Standard Time. And you can sign up for slots ahead of time, but we encourage you to do it ahead of time and not the day of the fair, although you can do it the day of the fair.
Okay, thanks, Caitlin.
You're welcome, no problem.
So this is how you're going to now start to prepare and how you can really make the most of the fair. So first thing you want to do is do research in advance. So you'll be able to see the list of participating employers and graduate programs directly on Handshake under fairs. So what you want to do is you want to plan ahead. As Caitlin mentioned, you can sign up for things ahead of time. So you do want to make sure that you're planning both for your own schedule, but then also to make a great impression on representatives from grad schools as well as the employers. So some things you can do is taking a look at their website, taking a look at their mission, their team, the grad program, really getting a feel for what are their values, what are they showcasing as something that's very critical, really to show your knowledge about them and the fact that you're not necessarily giving the exact same presentation or what you're saying isn't exactly the same, but really what you're saying is related to them. Even having just a line or two or mentioning something specific about them in particular will really have you stand out. And that's really all about what the goal is for the Opportunities Fair and what I'm going to be speaking about is when you have so many students, when you have so many employers in grad schools and you're meeting with a bunch of people, how can you really stand out amongst a lot of other students that are also going to be there? And this is just an example of, again, mentioning a few things to really show that you're not just interested in this industry or this program, but you're interested in it here. Speak to employers and graduate programs, regardless of current openings or your immediate plan. So it won't necessarily be, let's say, for example, you're a sophomore looking for an internship and maybe on their site, you're only seeing that they have full-time opportunities. Although they may not have something open just yet, one, you'll get insight as to what their recruiting timeline is like. So you'll get that additional information so you know when to check back. But then also you have a connection now and a representative that you can be in touch with. So when the opportunity does open up, you can connect back with them, refresh them on how exactly you met. And of course, as I'm sure you all know, having somebody personally and having that connection versus kind of just sending out your information, but actually having somebody be able to recognize the name, know that you already met, have a great impression of you can go a very long way. Other things that you want to do, in addition to kind of thinking about what you want to be saying, is thinking about questions that you have in advance. So questions, like I said before, can be something as straightforward as asking about what their recruiting timeline is, so you know when to check back in. If you have questions about maybe something you saw on their website, or if a job is open and you had a question or clarification, definitely make sure that you're thinking of these questions ahead, both for yourself, but then also to show your interest in learning more about them and showing that you're really committed to getting as much information as you can because of your level of interest. So know what to say, so be prepared. Although, you're talking about yourself, so it could seem very clear and, you know about yourself, you do want to be able to express your qualifications in a succinct way, but that also covers what's most relevant for that representative, for that program, for that employer. So be able to go through your resume, look through it, think to yourself, and when I go over the next slide with the 30-second pitch, we'll go over what exactly that entails, but be prepared to really have that pitch ready to go rather than just assuming that because it's about yourself, you'll be able to kind of have this kind of in your back pocket. It's definitely about you, but you still want to be prepared because you want to make sure that you're not forgetting anything that could be really important that they know. So I'm going to go over with you now what the 30-second pitch will look like. I'll give you a moment to review it, and then we'll go over together what are the important things that you want to keep in mind when you're devising this 30-second pitch. So looking through this, it can seem overwhelming in the sense of there's a lot of text here, there's a lot of information, but really because it is about yourself, it's not like you have to memorize this as if it's a script. What I recommend doing is first and foremost, starting out with the basics, your name, class year, Barnard major if you have a minor, and what you're seeking. And then you're going to be going into the experience, the accomplishments, the skills that you think would be most relevant for that employer or for that program. So again, instead of thinking of this as a script, because one, you don't want to come across as having memorized something, this should be conversational because it is about yourself and it is kind of a give and take with whoever you're going to be speaking with. So as opposed to kind of trying to memorize this, think of just more key words that are going to clue you in as to what you wanted to say. So for example, if I was Rachel and I wanted to talk about my writing and pitching skills, maybe I'm saying to myself, nonprofit agency. And that just reminds me that that's the particular particular experience that I want to talk about the skills. Or maybe you think 20%. that will remind you that you wanted to go over that amazing accomplishment that you had that, you know, shows that the impact of your work. So however you want to remember it, it's really up to you, but I find that that's a great balance of feeling like you're really prepared in a way that you have the content without it sounding too rehearsed or scripted. And then you'll see at the end, she references something very specific to the organization, which again, shows that she may be giving a similar pitch to other similar organizations, but by throwing in something at the end there, again, it's saying that she's really interested in not just having a position in this field, but she's interested in doing it here. So the dress code still applies. So although it is going to be virtual, you still want to dress business professional. So dress as if, you know, you would be in person. Also, I definitely think dressing professionally puts you in a different mindset, you know, and make sure that you're presenting yourself in that professional way that you want to. If you wanted to, you can wear a cardigan, you can wear a blazer over the top, something neutral, not distracting, you know, what you want to be saying and what you want them to remember is going to be by what you're saying and how explaining you're a great fit. But definitely something that you don't want to detract is dress code. So just make sure that you're definitely dressing business professional. So interacting with representatives. Again, this is a little bit of a unique situation given that we are virtual again for this fair. So first thing you want to do is find a quiet spot. You can, you know, reserve a room on campus if that's the case. If you're in a suite, making sure that you're in your room, making sure that you're letting people know what you're doing to make sure that there are no distractions. You want to find out what you can do to be considered and give this information get the information from them and ask for contact info. Like I said earlier, there's nothing like having somebody that you know to really have you stand out. So it's one thing to apply through their portal, but it's another thing to be able to email, connect with them again, let them know how you met, clue them into maybe some things that you mentioned to have you stand out. So whether it's because you're applying for something immediately after the conversation or down the line, starting to collect this information for any networking purposes is going to be very important. Reveal information in a give and take fashion. You want to identify what the employers or grad school's needs are and then match your skills to their needs. So just like I said, the beginning of this conversation is going to be a lot of you speaking, and it should be because this is your opportunity to present the best version of yourself, to have them really remember you, whether it be because you're actively applying or because in the future you apply for something and then they remember, you know, the great way that you presented yourself, the great experience that you have. So a lot of that conversation in the beginning is going to be you kind of having yourself stand out as best you can, but, you know, keeping that tone conversational, having some time at the end to ask your questions and also inquire if they have questions for yourself. After each conversation, I recommend taking some notes. What's great about this is it will, if you ask about the recruiting cycle, whether it be because they have an opening and you want to know about interview timelines, or if it's not open, you can mark these things down so you'll remember in the future. Other things to do is, you know, a lot of these organizations, graduate programs, not only will you talk about yourself, but they'll talk about their company, their program. So by describing what they find to be unique or special or valuable, that's great insight for your own application in the future when you're referencing or contacting them. So these are all little tips that maybe you wouldn't get just from doing research on your own. So definitely taking advantage of that. And then, as I said earlier, writing down the names of representatives and their contact info. So following up with representatives, following up with whoever you spoke to is really critical to enlist their assistance in the future. So you do want to write a follow-up email within 24 hours to each person you spoke with. Just first off, starting out by thanking them for their time. Another great thing that you can do is mentioning something specific about your conversation, whether it be in what they were presenting about the company or the grad program, or just something about personally their experience that you felt like really stood out to show that you were really engaged. And again, going back to kind of writing your notes down, that can be really helpful when you're following up. And again, you want to reiterate your interest and any relevant skills or experience. Again, they're going to be meeting with a lot of students. So to have them kind of refresh their memory by including the skills and experience that you think is important that they know would be great to include in that email. And then finally, attach your resume. Although they may have it, it's in the system. Attaching your resume is great just in case they don't. And then also if they're potentially not recruiting for that position, but somebody else on the team is, they can easily forward over your email if your resume is attached to that. And then finally, connecting on LinkedIn. This is just some great networking best practices to start. So connect on LinkedIn after. You can include a personal note when you send a connection request, which I definitely recommend doing. And with that, you can kind of refresh them about how you connected. So you met at the Barnard Opportunities Fair. Again, thank them for their time. And then this is just another great way of staying connected, both through email as well as LinkedIn, which is a great professional networking site. Additional considerations that are specific for virtual fairs, this could even be for virtual interviews, anything that's not going to be in person. So you want to test out what you look like on video prior to actually when you're going to be in front of that person, just to make sure that everything looks okay. There's nothing in the background that's off, your lighting's okay, there's no weird kind of shadows. You want to make sure that the video is at eye level. Again, neutral background, especially if maybe you're going to be going from your room or something like that, making sure that there's nothing really distracting. And as much as you can, letting everyone around you know that you're going to be doing something where you need to be avoiding any kind of interruptions. So again, this is going to be the schedule of events, both for the fair as well as some of our awesome events and panels that we'll be having. You can also check out our PCA and advising appointments. As Caitlin mentioned, we'll be practicing 30-second pitches. So those commercials, like I said, if you wanted to kind of prepare ahead of time and practice, you feel really confident and comfortable saying it. Once the actual fair begins, you can absolutely practice that with us. And then of course, resume reviews. So all of this information will be on Handshake when it's open, when you can sign up. And here are our emails. So here's Caitlin's email, here's mine, as well as the office's email. If you have any questions about this presentation, the fair in general, anything else that comes up, absolutely feel free to reach out. And we hope to see you in the office very soon. So have a great rest of the week and good luck at the fair.